All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into one of the sneakiest, most clever tools a developer has, the Proxy Design Pattern. It sounds kind of technical, but trust me, it's a really simple idea that can make our software way smarter, safer, and a whole lot more efficient. So, to really wrap our heads around this, let's start with something you've probably already used. Ever connected to the internet through a proxy server? Yeah? Well, if you have, then you know it basically acts like a helpful gatekeeper, right? It's this middleman that sits between you and the rest of the internet, handling all your requests. Okay, hold that thought, because that is the core idea. We're going to take that exact same gatekeeper concept and see how we can use it inside our software to solve some really tricky problems. First up, let's just quickly break down how that internet middleman actually works, because honestly, it is the perfect analogy for the software pattern we're about to get into. So at its heart, a proxy server is just an intermediary. Simple as that. It sits between your device and the big wide internet, and it intercepts your requests to do all sorts of useful stuff. You know, like blocking sketchy websites, speeding things up by caching data, or even protecting your privacy. And the key thing here is that your request never goes straight to the website you're trying to visit. Nope, it goes to the proxy first. The proxy forwards it. Then the website's response comes back to the proxy, and then the proxy sends it back to you. The proxy is in total control of that entire conversation. All right, so now that we've got that down, let's see how this whole middleman idea can solve a classic business problem. Let's talk about something like wasted orders. Okay. Put yourself in this scenario. Imagine you run a huge online retail store. I'm talking global distribution. You've got customers ordering from all over the place, and you have warehouses scattered across the world ready to ship out products. So in your current system, when an order comes in, it just gets sent directly to the nearest warehouse. I mean, that sounds efficient, right? But, well, it turns out there's a huge, costly flaw hiding in that simple logic. Here's the problem. The warehouses are constantly getting orders for stuff they don't even have in stock. This just wastes so much time, processing power, and logistics, because the system then has to cancel it, try to reroute the order, and in the end, it just creates a terrible experience for the customer. It's a mess. And this is where our software gatekeeper, the Proxy Design Pattern, swoops in to save the day. So, in software terms, what is the proxy pattern? It's basically a substitute or a stand-in for another object. Its entire job is just to control access to the real object behind it. This lets us do all kinds of smart things before or after the request actually gets through. So, check out how this fixes our warehouse problem. Instead of an order going straight to a real warehouse, it first goes to a warehouse proxy. This proxy is our smart gatekeeper. It catches the order, checks the stock levels across all the warehouses, and only then does it forward the order to a warehouse that can actually fill it. And just like that, problem solved. All that wasted effort is gone. But here's the truly brilliant part. From the ordering system's point of view, absolutely nothing has changed. It still thinks it's talking directly to a warehouse. So how is that possible? Well, it's because the proxy and the real warehouse speak the exact same language. They share the same set of commands, or what we call an interface. This means they're totally interchangeable. It's a concept called polymorphism. We can just swap in our smart proxy without having to rewrite a single line of the old code. That is what makes this pattern so incredibly powerful. Now, this pattern is no one-trick pony. It's not just for warehouses. It actually wears a bunch of different disguises to solve all sorts of different problems. And what's really cool is that you can use this pattern for completely different reasons. For instance, you have the virtual proxy, which is all about efficiency. Imagine it pretending to be a massive high-res image, but it doesn't actually load the real heavy file until you click to zoom in. We call that lazy loading. Then, on the other hand, you've got the protection proxy, which is all about security. It's like a bouncer at a club, checking your ID, your permissions, before it lets you do something sensitive. And trust me, once you know what to look for, you start seeing these proxies everywhere. That virtual proxy for efficiency? Yep, that's what's happening when your photo app shows you a quick little thumbnail before the giant high-res image finally loads. The protection proxy? That's the digital guard that stops you from, getting into someone else's bank account online.
There are even remote proxies that make a file way out in the cloud feel like it's sitting right there on your local machine.
Okay, so let's start to wrap this up. Why does this pattern matter so much? Let's recap why it's such an essential tool in modern software design. I mean, the benefits are huge. We get to protect the real object from the messy outside world. We can gain massive efficiency with things like lazy loading. We can add all sorts of intelligent security checks. And the best part? We can do all of this without the main program even knowing it's talking to a middleman.
Ultimately, it all boils down to that one powerful principle we talked about. Because the proxy and the real object speak the same language, they use the same interface, they become perfectly interchangeable. The rest of the system doesn't need to know, and frankly doesn't care, which one it's talking to. And that gives a developer incredible freedom to add new functionality without breaking a bunch of old code.
But of course, with all this power, there's always a trade-off, right? And that leaves us with one last really important question. When does this helpful middleman stop being helpful and just become overhead? In what kind of situations might adding a proxy actually create more complexity than it solves? That's the critical question you have to ask yourself the next time you're designing a system.